Garden City, 70 reported by Dodge City and Liberal, 72 over by the good folks of
Hello everybody and welcome back to another one of my videos. This is Aviation 04 and today we're going to be doing an airport update of Syracuse Hancock International Airport. So it's been a while since I've done one of these updates. Fair bit's changed. One of the biggest pieces of news is right here, and it's at Gate 1, and that's that Southwest has stopped operations at Syracuse. I'm holding out hope that they're going to return at some point. I don't know when, but it seemed like everything was going well. It seemed like their passenger loads were doing pretty well, but they lost a bunch of money at the start of 2024. The demand for planes and pilots led to them leaving. But with that though, Sun Country also began service here on a summer seasonal flight to Minneapolis, which was very good news. And Frontier is going to resume service to Raleigh-Durham and Atlanta. Also, I can't remember from the last update too, but Breeze has also picked up quite a bit of service. I'm looking to hopefully represent them soon in these updates. They're not in here today, but with that, I think we're just going to get started. And starting off first here at Gate 1, we have a new aircraft. This is the JetBlue A220. JetBlue is now flying the A220 in from Boston and New York JFK very regularly. It's their successor to the E190, and the E190 flew into Syracuse for years. But this one has arrived in from New York John F. Kennedy and will make the flight back out there within the next 40 minutes after being loaded up. Next, being loaded and fueled up for a flight out to Orlando, we have this JetBlue A321. During the winter season, JetBlue's done this a couple times now, and they really took advantage of it this past year. They flew twice daily flights to Orlando, and one of them was on the A320. One of them was on the A321 earlier in the day, and then they had the normal flight returning in the evening with the A320. So this one's in the Prism tail, and he's going to get pushed out for Orlando in about 20 minutes. Just pulling into the gate from Boston, we have this American Eagle Embraer 145, and this plane will actually head out to Philadelphia after, both of which are on the E145. Being pushed out for a flight to Washington Reagan, we have this American Eagle CRJ 900. And then behind that, being loaded up for a flight out to Charlotte, we have this American A319. He's being catered and fueled and will head back out to Charlotte. Pulling into the gate from Fort Lauderdale, we have this Allegiant A320, and he's going to head out to St. Petersburg after. And then being loaded up for a flight out to Boston, we have this JetBlue A320. I know I said it was on the A220. I do not have a couple of those to represent this. And I wanted to get this flight represented too because JetBlue has been using Gate 12, I believe. They've been picking up their operations, and so it's great to see at Syracuse. I'm hoping they can expand and just continue to grow. I'm not too sure where they would go. I know Fort Lauderdale is a popular destination. I mean, they had a service there for a while, a seasonal service. That service, though, was removed a few years back, but I just hope they continue to expand. And one thing I haven't done and represented is Gate 15. I haven't represented that in this update. And so here it is, and we have this Delta Connection Embraer 175 who's just pulling into the gate from New York John F. Kennedy. And he's going to actually make the flight out to New York LaGuardia after. Taxiing over to the runway, we have this United Express CRJ 200, and he's taxiing to the runway for a flight out to Washington Dulles. Being loaded up for a flight out to Denver, we have this United 737-700 in the Evo Blue livery, and he arrived in from there a little less than an hour ago. Getting passengers on board, we have this Delta Connection CRJ 900 who's being loaded up for a flight out to Detroit. Next to that, we have this Delta A321 who's currently being loaded up, passengers loaded, for a flight out to Atlanta. This one was actually delayed for a couple hours. And being serviced for a flight out to Chicago O'Hare, we have this United 737-900, and he's being loaded up for a flight out to Chicago O'Hare. United's been operating a lot of Airbus recently, typically the 319 or the 320. I'd like to get that altitude models 320 at some point, but a lot of the times during the summer they switch to the 737, so I'm not too sure, but I'm glad to just be able to have United Mainline represented too, because for a while I was unable to do that in these updates. And then moving on to the last plane at the terminal, we have this Frontier A321 This is Steve the Eagle, and he's getting cleaners on board and ready for a flight out to Orlando. Moving over to the de-icing pad, as you know, it's a pretty snowy area, so being de-iced right here, we have this JetBlue A320. This is the second Orlando flight. He's currently taxiing over to the runway after being de-iced, and we'll head out to Orlando. And taxiing over for a flight out to Punta Gorda, we have this Allegiant A320. He arrived in from Orlando Sanford earlier today. And then heading over to the cargo terminal, we've got quite a good lineup today. First off here, we have this FedEx 767-300. He's being loaded up for a flight out to Memphis. This one overnighted here. And then being pushed out for a flight out to Indianapolis, we have this FedEx 757. He arrived in from Burlington earlier today. And then being loaded up, we have another new model. This one will have a review coming out soon, and a very cool one, I think. It's very fortunate to be able to pick this up. We have the UPS A300. These have flown into Syracuse a lot, typically from Louisville. However, this one's heading out to Windsor Locks in Connecticut. That's been a pretty common route, but I'm very fortunate to add this to the collection, and this thing's awesome. And then finally for the update, we have this UPS 757, who's arrived in from Louisville and is being loaded up and will make that return flight back out there. So I really hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed, as that really does help out the channel. As you can see, there's quite a bit going on here. A lot of changes since the last update, and I'm hoping that there are some more changes to come. I know they're going to update the terminal, which is good. Hopefully that will bring Southwest back, and hopefully their issues can be solved too, so they can come back, because they were a major carrier here, and they were expanding at a really good rate. So unfortunate to see, but I also would encourage you to check out Syracuse Aviation's update. He just posted one a couple days ago, and he always does a great job representing this airport. But with that, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and goodbye.